In this video, we'll take a look at another type of attack. So in this attack, we'll use a web shell. We'll create our own web shell and upload it in order to gain access into the system. So this works with any upload form where they didn't securely check the file types. So for example, here we have a web page where we can upload some image file, and they are then shown on the page. This can be any image file. So let's upload, for example, this image file of Kali Linux. It doesn't matter which file we upload. So we go to browse, and let's go to that folder. And we're now gonna upload it. So maybe that image was too large. We can pick any one. We could pick another one. Let's say the one in pictures. And click upload. And now this file is uploaded. So all in all, you would say no problem, you can upload files. So what we're gonna do is upload a web shell. You'll see here we have an extension .php, which means the PHP programming language can be used on this Linux server. So we're going to create our own little script with a text editor. Now I might want to increase the font size here a bit for readability. Okay, so we're going to create a script and then upload the script for remote control. So it's PHP, which looks like this. And in PHP, they have a command called system, where we can simply run a system command that we get as a parameter. So let's say command, and we might need to echo it. And I think instead of system, it might be called exec. Let's try with system first. So we'll call it shell.php. And then let's try to upload it. So we go to our folder, upload shell.php, and see if we can upload it. Yes. Now we need to know where this file is stored. In order to access it, we could simply right click on one of the images, copy image link, paste it, and you'll see it's uploads. So you can access the file directly, but we're interested in shell.php. So let's try our script, shell.php, and the parameter was cmd. Let's see with the ls commands. And we now did the ls command directly on the server. These are the actual images. So in the URL now, and because this is our script, we can now use Linux commands. For example, we can say pwd, and it tells you the current directory. It actually does it twice, so we might not need the echo in front of here. Simply run system. Let's see if we can overwrite it, upload it. See if that solves our... Yes, we just overwritten it. So now we have the output only once. There was an error in our programming. So now we can run different Linux commands like pwd. Might check what is the user permission we have. We are the user www.data. So now we have access into this Linux system. We can remotely control it using commands in the URL. So whatever Linux command we type here, we can then see the output. You might see who else is logged into this system, and other useful information. Perhaps we want to output the entire password file for the entire user file. Well, let's see if that works. Yes, we now have the entire password file, etc passwords. This is not actually where the passwords are stored, but simply all the users on the system. So we can now figure out about the system. There's a user proftpd, which has no login information. There's the user Ubuntu. See here, the user Ubuntu, which has been bash, and so on. We can now run Linux commands and remotely control it as if we had access into that Linux system. So this is called a web shell because we can control the Linux computer using the web commands. Defending against this web shell attack is slightly more tricky. So one thing you can do, if you have the possibility, is simply to disable the web server. So if we scan the local host, We scan the computer. That is if we have nmap installed in the first place. Okay, I just installed nmap. If we check with nmap, we see that we are running a web server. So one thing we could do to defend against this attack is simply disable web server completely. Now, that might be an option or not, depending on the situation of the corporation or personal situation, if you want to run the web server or not. In this case, a web server is usually Nginx or Apache, depending on the setup on Linux. So in this case, there's an Nginx web server running. You'll see a web server. So that's the one that you see when you open the website that you saw before, the Acme Inc. website that's running. A web application or web server is running there. So you might simply disable the web server altogether. So it's completely disabled. And now if we scan again, the web server is no longer accessible. And then if we try to run this script, you'll see we get unable to connect. So it's not accessible because there's no web server in the first place. So that's one way to defend against this attack, is simply to disable the web server altogether. That's like 100% of those attacks will then be stopped, but it might break actual workflow of the company or your personal workflow. So let's enable it again. And let's try a different kind of defense. So we enable it and Mixture start it as well. So now the website should be reachable again. See, the website is reachable. So let's go back to the web server. So we have all the PHP or all the web code in var www.html. That's usually where the web code is stored. If we list the files in folders, you see we have the folder uploads. So we could do a manual check in uploads and see if there's any PHP files in there. And yeah, in this case there's shell PHP, which shouldn't be there. There should just be the images, PNG or JPEGs or other type of images, but go shell PHP. So we could delete that file if we were to, when defending this system. But we could also do it earlier. So in the PHP code is usually where you would do it. If we open it, now this is not a programming course, but you could filter the file type that is uploaded. So right now it's not checking any file type. It's simply uploading whatever you want into this upload folder. You see file uploaded successfully. It moves the file from the temporary folder into the destination, which is the uploads folder here on top. So this programming code might be a bit confusing if you've never programmed before, but what we can see here is that this is commented out. It's not checking if the file type is a JPEG, a PNG or another type of image file. So we can upload any type of image, and that's why we could upload a PHP file. So we could simply change that. We could say only allow this if it's an image file like a JPEG, PNG or other type of image file. So if we save it, we need to actually edit this as administrator. So sudo in front, and then make sure we only allow images to be uploaded and not any other type of file. So now we are fixing it by limiting the actual programming code. We delete that PHP shell there. And now let's see if this works. So we have this web shell or this web page. We have this web page, and we'll try to upload this PHP file. And you'll see it's no longer allowed. And if we try to access, you'll see page not found. So this attack no longer works for this specific PHP program, for this poto.php web page. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist anywhere else. So what you want to do is search all your files like photo.php, info.php, or whichever files you have on your server in var www.html. If there is any command like shell execute or any other like that we might find in the script, in our shell script, so system or any other PHP command that runs shell commands and want to make sure that it's not in any of the scripts. So it's a bit more tricky to prevent web shells if you want to still run a web server.